Anthony Scaramucci very publicly broke with his former boss over this family separation issue. I sat down with the short-lived White House communications director in New York to talk about that and much more shortly before the president reversed his policy. Anthony Scaramucci, welcome.
Hey, great to be here, Howie. Thank you.
You say this administration policy of separating children from families at the border is inhumane. Why did you decide to speak out?
Well, I'm trying to be helpful to the president. I think at the end of the day, he's doing an amazing job on so many different fronts, and the optics of this situation and the feeling that it gives the average American is just not the feeling that I think the president wants people to feel.
You say you're trying to be helpful to the president, but you're taking on the president. He completely disagrees. You're criticizing his policy, and that must have been a difficult decision for you?
I don't think it's a difficult decision for me because I like being my own person, but I'm really not taking on the president. I'm saying to the president, and I wish other advisors of his would say this, and don't sit in the circle and just yes everybody. Let's look at the optics of the situation. Let's look at the spirit of the situation. Let's stop arguing about it being legal and it's part of the law, because we've had many laws in our society that have not been right. You know, Brown versus Board of Education. You know, we were segregating children 50 short, 60 short years ago. We've had Jim Crow laws, okay? This law is inhumane. You
say the president's being poorly served by his advisors on this issue, but isn't that something of a cop-out? He is making the decision. He's heard the arguments, and you are trying to steer him toward what you think is not only a more humane approach, but one that will not be as politically damaging.
100%. And look, at the end of the day, the president's got to have to own the decision. I'm not trying to cop out on the president, but I'm basically saying, hey, this is a Woolman Rink-like moment where you've got a food fight going on among your advisors, a food fight going on among the parties, but you are a CEO, you're a business person, you've got great common sense, and I know him personally. He's a great guy. He's a grandfather.
This is an emotional issue. People have seen the pictures, they've heard the audio, and as you know, there's been criticism from both parties. I'm told the White House is not pleased with your position. Have you had a chance to explain your thoughts to the president personally?
Well, let me put it this way. You know, I've explained it. I'm explaining it here, and I have no problem with them being not pleased with me. But I got to tell you something: they should not be pleased with themselves, okay? Because at the end of the day, you've got so many great things going on. The president's done such a great job. Why do you need to have this in the news when we could be talking about the Inspector General's report, where it comes out great for the president? We could be talking about the denuclearization of North Korea, great for the president. The economy, the unemployment numbers. Everything is going well for the president. Why make this the lead news story? I don't agree with it.
Well, when the president says...
I don't care if they're... I just want to finish.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're pleased with me or not.
Okay.
I've supported the guy for 3 years. I put hard money into his campaign. And when they threw me out of the White House, I stayed very loyal to the president.
There's no question about that, which is why I think your comments resonate.
So I'm here saying, hey, wake up, okay? If you don't wake up on this issue, why would you have an issue like this blindside so many of the good things that are going on in your administration?
Well, when the president says, I can't do anything unilaterally, it's the law. You tweeted, you can't simultaneously argue that family separation isn't happening, that it's being used as a deterrent, that the Bible justifies it, and that it's the Democrats' fault. So the conflicting messages coming out of the White House, is that hurting? Am I wrong about that?
Okay, you're a pretty objective guy. Now, you read the tweet again. Am I wrong about that? You can't have 5 or 6 different arguments going at the same time.
Right. And so where's the White House messaging?
Take a step back. It's a black and white issue. Okay. There's a lot of gray in our society, but this is a black and white issue for moms, for dads. It's a universally black and white issue. You don't want to look back on this thing in 10 years and say, my God, what were we doing? Okay, do you think the Americans look back on the Japanese internment camps and say, yeah, that was a great idea? I mean, give me a break. Okay, cut the nonsense. This is one thing. I know you love Washington. You lived there for like 400 years.
It's a swamp.
Okay, but let me just tell you what I don't like about Washington. Tell the truth. Tell the truth to the president. Tell the truth to the American people. This is very bad policy, and let's knock it off. It's just that simple.
Let's go a little broader. So the president's detractors are obviously piling on, including many Republicans, as I say, that this is a bad policy, an inhumane policy of separating families. But they're also saying he's launched a trade war, he's picked a fight with Canada. Are there elements of truth to this, or is this the media piling on and not giving President Trump the benefit of the doubt?
Well, I don't think they're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think there's really no trade war yet. There's a bellicosity of rhetoric, related to the fact that the trading system has been uneven for 70 years, and the president's trying to figure out a way to create a more fair or a trade parity system or a free, fair trade system, and it hasn't been that way. And so I think the bellicosity of rhetoric is used as a cudgel or a device to negotiate that. So I think they're being unfair to him on that. On the North Korean situation, I think the guy's done a great job. You got to give him credit for where credit is due.
After President Trump met with Kim Jong-un, he tweeted that so-called fake news, which is his term for many major news organizations, is our country's biggest enemy. Now, I know that you're actually a former White House official who likes the press. Would you advise him not to use that kind of language? I mean, he has every right to push back against unfair coverage.
I understand the frustration, because if you look at the Harvard study or the Pew Research study,
90% negative.
all this is 90%. So I understand the frustration. I understand he's a natural counterpuncher, and that's how he's had made great success in his life. But we've got to de-escalate the war with the press, because you're sitting in a seat now where you're serving the American people. You are a temporary office holder, and you're a temporary resident in the White House, and the system was set up and designed so that the free press could be in there and to rigorously review what you're doing. Okay, that's what the founders wanted. And
so you want de-escalation?
I do. I think it's very important for the press. But I want it on both sides. You know, I don't want unilateral de-escalation by the president. I want a bilateral de-escalation. Why don't we knock off the nonsense on both sides, take it down a notch? And I really think the president should get out of the corner that he's in and go on your show, go on other shows. I was delighted to see him on George Stephanopoulos a week ago. He's a television star. Okay, this guy has made it in so many different genres of his life. There's no need for him to be sticking to one network or a few anchors. Let's go the full spectrum of people. There's a lot of moderates and independents that really love what the president is doing in the country and are going to vote for him. And he needs those people if he wants to win an electoral landslide, because I predict that if he gets an electoral landslide in 2020, he'll have a much bigger, broader legislative mandate over the next 4 years of the presidency. And so let's do that for him. He's totally capable of doing it.
Well, I interviewed Donald Trump a half dozen times during the campaign. He has a standing invitation to appear on this program now that you've endorsed it. I appreciate it. Anthony Scaramucci, thanks very much for sitting down with us.
Great to be here. Thank you.